Good afternoon and welcome to the second edition of Chime In Live. I am your host, Meschida Philip, and today is a very special day. It's Father's Day, and we want to send our greetings to all of the fathers who are making a difference, especially in this time, doing the best that they can with their kids. Today is a very special day. It's about money. Who does not like money? I know I do because I am always searching for money for my other projects. So it's about creative capital for the arts. And today we have three guests. Kisha is running a little bit behind, but we have Miss Sabrina Phillip and Samuel, who is a creative in Grenada, on the panel to discuss funding sources, investment opportunities in Grenada in party culture sector. And Keisha will be talking about funding sources through organizations like UNESCO. So once Keisha comes in, we will add her to the live. So let me take a few minutes to introduce our panelists today. Miss Sabrina, I would like you to introduce yourself.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Meschida, for having me. I would like to say afternoon to Sam, the other panel today. And I'd like to say good afternoon to our viewers online. I am Sabrina Phillip. I am the Promotion and Marketing Specialist at 𝑳𝑰𝑽𝑬.
And Sam, can you introduce yourself to the world?
Sure. Hi, I'm Samuel Ogilvie. I run a production company here called SO Productions Grenada that specializes in, video content. Let's put it that way. Voiceovers are included in that as well. People seem to like to use me for documentaries, but I do commercials, cut my teeth on music videos, one or two short films here or there. I'm also a stage actor, voice actor. I've dabbled in music for a little bit, but we're not going to talk about that too much. And good to be here on Chime In Sundays with my two esteemed people.
Well, I know you, well, Sam, you are a multi-talented, faceted artist, in my opinion, and I am honored to have you here. I mean, you're downplaying yourself, but you've traveled to, where did you travel last year?
I went to Venice.
Tell me a little bit. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about that. You gotta build that up.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Well, that was more to represent Grenada and the Grenada Art Council. I'm also a floor member of the Grenada Art Council, probationary for now. But that came afterwards.
And how was that experience?
It was great. I mean, in terms of artistic inspiration and seeing that it wasn't limited to just, traditional mediums of art like painting and so on, sculptures, but video art was also a big factor there. And the space that was able to house that and the techniques that they use, very different to regular cinema and that kind of thing. So it definitely was eye-opening. I got one or two ideas that hopefully will be manifested in some personal works. Let's claim it in faith. It will happen in the very near future. Let's claim it. Let's claim it.
And how did you get to go on such a trip?
I found the call for people that was put out by the Arts Council to apply for it. I applied. I also attended one or two of their shows, their pop-up exhibits, and I actually started doing a little sketch session with them that they have every Thursday at Art House 473. So I did dabble in art in college. I said dabble, but I got a grade for it, so maybe it's not dabbling. They accepted me, and I was able to take advantage, take that opportunity.
No, that's awesome. The creative sector in Grenada is developing. We are expanding our reach, and now people are paying a lot more attention. 1 second. Yeah, sorry.
Finally.
Yes, I'm seeing you now. Keisha is here. Hi,
Yes,
Kisha.
hi, Meschida. How are you?
I
Thank
am
you,
fine.
Kisha,
I'm sorry for being late. I had a bit of a problem, with the technology. You know how that is.
No, you're right on time. Please
Yes,
introduce
yes.
yourself. Yes,
Hello?
can you hear me, Kisha?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Sorry. Yes, I'm hearing you. Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud
Okay,
and
great,
clear.
great. Okay, great.
Take a moment to introduce yourself to everyone in the virtual space right now. Chime in with us this morning. Everyone is interested in learning about funding for creatives. So
Of
you have a
course.
big task ahead of you.
Yes, yes. Yes. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Well, I'm Kisha Gellineu, and I'm the Acting Secretary General for the Grenada National Commission for UNESCO. We are based in the Ministry of Education, and we basically provide support to industry professionals, not only in culture, because I know we focus on the arts today, but in UNESCO core fields, education, science, technology, gender. We do a lot of work there. But today, I guess I'll be talking a bit about our support for projects related to culture and the arts. Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. As I was saying before, thank you guys for joining today because it's very crucial. I mean, this forum right now is very crucial because the industry in Grenada is developing. And as we know, as independent artists, that is the biggest deterrent for the creatives, the independent creatives to find the necessary resources to make their projects come to life. And I am so honored to have you guys here for us to kind of discuss opportunities, challenges, and everything like that that we are facing as our industry in Grenada is evolving. As Sam alluded to earlier, we do have an art council in Grenada that is the governing entity right now that is doing a lot of work within the arts and cultural sector in Grenada. But we have the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Culture, Arts and Sports too, that is put a lot of mandates in place to have certain regulations outlining the industry and everything like that. So before we go further, I would like to address a question to Sabrina. Since you are in that section dealing with investments in Grenada and GIDC is an arm of the government, can you please explain to us or define to us what are the roles that the government is playing in supporting the arts and creative sector in Grenada?
All right, sure, no problem. So before I answer that question, I would just take like a brief minute just to speak about GIDC, just in case we have viewers online that may not be familiar with GIDC. GIDC is an acronym for Grenada Investment Development Corporation. And like Meschida mentioned, it's a statutory body of the government. It was established in 1985. We are an economic development corporation and we focus on promoting investment opportunities and entrepreneurial development services. Now, at GIDC, as Meschida mentioned, we function in three strategic business units. The Investment Promotion Agency, which is the unit that I am representing today, and we are the primary facilitators of both foreign and local investments for Grenada. We also have our Business Development Center, which is focused on strengthening entrepreneurship development in Grenada. And then we have our Facilities Unit, which manages the real estate of GIDC. Now, our office is located in Frequency Industrial Park, which is one of the real estates that we manage. And we have Seamoon, and we also have St. Patrick's Business Center. Now, as the primary facilitator for investment in Grenada, we work with projects in the priority sector. And this is a sector that the government will have identified. They've identified several sectors. And the creative arts is one of those sectors, along with we have tourism, we have health and wellness, ICT, energy, agribusiness. So it's quite a few of them. And fortunately, the creative arts is one of the sectors that has been identified by the government. It's a sector that they are willing to support primarily through granting incentives, investment incentives, for persons who would be looking to either start a business in that area or expand a business in that area. Now, according to the regulations from Section 15 of the Investment Act, number 42 of 2014, so I'm giving you the description so you can always look it up further if you're interested. Creative arts is defined as any business activity that involves the use of creative talents for the creation of wealth, foreign exchange earnings, and employment, and includes the following: production of films and film strips, television production, video and sound recordings, production of digital media, theatrical productions, publishing of books, including textbooks, atlases, maps, brochures, pamphlets, music words, newspaper, journals, comics, engravings, postcards, forms, posters, reproduction of art, magazines, catalogs, periodicals, playing cards, albums, diaries, business forms, photography, art and handicraft, mass performers, and designers. So, in essence, this is, according to law in the Investment Act, this is what is defined as the creative arts. So, any person or entity involved in any of the things that was previously mentioned, you would be entitled to receive investment incentives for your business.
So that is interesting because one of the things, like I said before, is finding money.
Mhm.
Sam, you are an independent creative there. How do you go about sourcing funding for your own projects or securing projects to work on in Grenada? What are the
Right.
secrets?
Secrets. You know what? Here's the thing. Most of what I've worked on has been on in a partnership with someone else or with a client.
Okay.
So I've never, although I do have some projects gestating and funding is necessary. Um, the most I can say I did one time was writing directly to the Grenada Film Commission that exists here. To get some assistance with attending a script writing workshop, a 2-week script writing workshop. I found it myself. I bought my own ticket and everything, but I had applied saying that this would be a good opportunity to put themselves out there and have show that some investment was being done in the arts. And through connections made there to the Ministry of Culture, they got in contact with the National Lottery Association and they were able to fund a good bit of my trip. So that was one hard method that I took. Um, it helps that I had done some work for the Grenada Film Commissioner. That was Helen Spielman. Forget what her name, but
Yeah, Helen. Yeah, Helen
right.
Spiller.
And she really helped to facilitate that. And I'm hoping that other
Sorry,
people.
can you mute your mic? So there's a loud feedback from someone else. So Sam, yes, thank you. Go ahead, Sam.
Right. So it helped that I had done some work with her for her film festival before, and we had met before. So I'm hoping that people with a proven track record of producing video content and that kind of thing will be able to take that kind of step and hopefully get the same assistance that I did.
You just made mention of the Grenada Film Commission. I know when I came back to Grenada in 2016, while I was in school getting ready to do my oh my goodness, my thesis film. I lost my train of thought there. I couldn't remember what it's called. My thesis film. That's when I was introduced with the Film Commission. But as it is right now in today's space, and correct me if I'm wrong, is the Film Commission active in Grenada as far as you are aware?
As far as I'm aware.
And what are they doing to help with the industry?
Right. as far as I'm aware, I know that I think it was last year or late last year they had an event, film festival of sorts, where they brought and I don't want to offend anybody by not remembering their names, but it was a lady who had worked for Oprah. I'm so sorry, guys. But they showed her film that she helped to produce. There was great debaters and so on. There was a panel discussion where discussions about what could happen, much like this, not really to do with funding, but overall support for creatives. Aside from that, I haven't seen much else take place
Okay.
to do with film
I
promotion.
mean, it was my understanding, because I was in Grenada earlier on this year, and we were talking about statutory bodies and what things are representing. And it was my understanding that currently they are revamping certain policies and certain regulations in place right now to put the sector in a different place. So right now, it's an interim body that is
Sure.
there, and things hopefully will take a turn for improvements, and we can get more investments coming into the sector in Grenada. Kisha, I've been knocking on your doors left, right, and center from the time that I became acquainted with you and your office. I mean, one of the things that I am recognizing is so hard to find information in Grenada and understand where opportunities lie. There is opportunities, but most times we are unaware of how to go about finding the resources, because it's not made public. Can you explain to me a little bit more about what it is you do, what your office offers as far as support for the creative sector in Grenada currently, and how can independent, and does it apply to just independent artists, or you have to be a body? You have to unmute. You have to unmute, Kisha. We're not hearing you. You have to unmute your mic.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Meschida. Thank you for that. First, I would like to mention that there are several opportunities for funding, well, under UNESCO
Mm-hmm.
programs for the arts, and that is really using arts as in broad terms, because arts would cover. I mean, you're talking about culture, cultural industries, several different things, cultural heritage, intangible cultural heritage as well. So I'm just going to mention a few that I think is most relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Um, First, we have the International Fund for Cultural Diversity, and that one it supports projects that aim to foster and build a dynamic cultural sector, and that is primarily through activities facilitating the introduction or elaboration of policies and strategies. And the other is for the reinforcement of institutional infrastructures supporting viable cultural industries. So it supports policies and strategies, and it supports the building of cultural industries. Um, it supports areas such as music, the performing arts, design, film, generally all the areas in culture, and it funds project up to a maximum of 100,000 US. And who can apply for this really? Government ministries, you have parastatal entities or statutory bodies, and NGOs. Unfortunately, for this fund, individuals cannot apply. And because of time, I mean, really and truly, you can get a lot of more information from the UNESCO website, or you can contact the National Commission at the Ministry of Education anytime for information. We also have the UNESCO participation program, and that one is a 2-year cycle. Is a 2-year cycle project really, and you can apply for that through the National Commission. Um, and it covers, as for this particular project, it covers general areas of UNESCO. So it's not only, as I said, related to culture, but it's related to education. So you can even have a joint project where you have a project that deals with education in culture, or culture with education, or you can deal with culture and women. So it's a very diverse project. Its maximum is 26,000 US, and For this, you can visit, as I said, you can call the National Commission or you can visit the UNESCO website for more information. And this one as well, government ministries can apply, parastatal entities, and NGOs can apply for this.
Okay,
Yeah.
so based on what you're saying, are you aware of anything else that can support like the independent creators? Because these are specifically for like organizations, NGOs, governmental assist entities. But is there anything like an independent person coming up and needs some funding, emergency funding, or anything like that? Is there anything available
Sorry,
from
Pat,
your?
can you repeat a bit? You're a bit low. I'm not hearing you
Can
too
you hear
clearly.
me now?
Yes, I'm hearing you now. Sorry.
Okay. No, I was saying the ones that you specify right now is
Yes.
dealing with the NGOs, entities, government entities, and infrastructures. Is there anything for independent creatives that UNESCO that they can be qualified for within Grenada and the region? I know you said to go to the site, but off the top of your mind right now?
Off the top of my head, I mean, with I guess the nature of cultural industries is, I mean, we always deal with collaboration and groups. So I don't know of any within UNESCO that an individual per se can apply for.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely as a group, you know, and we promote a lot of collaboration, a lot of groups, but I cannot speak to anyone that would support an individual artist. So, but for instance, within the groups, you do have individuals.
Yes.
So, I mean, an individual can benefit from the support of UNESCO, but through a group or through an NGO or so.
Partnerships are very important. I'm
Yes.
recognizing when coming to doing the grants. From a grant giving institution perspective, can you share with us what are some of the specifics that you guys look at in applications or in applicants when we are putting forth requests for grants?
Yes. Well, you know, as I mentioned before, that we focus a lot of on NGOs and organizations. So
Mm-hmm.
what we look for, or what a lot of the grant institutions look for, is that organization with knowledge of the industry. So they want organizations that would have worked within the industry, that has knowledge, organizations that work within communities because it's for the benefit of the community, organizations that are inclusive. So you include everyone, regardless of race, culture, religion, everything. And it's really to bring like social cohesion, you know, encouraging a sense of identity, responsibility in individuals, so everybody can feel part of the community and everybody can benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So
Okay.
that is it really.
I mean, I was very appreciative to find out about the opportunities with UNESCO for our film festival in Grenada and all of the initiatives that we are doing as far as helping provide educational opportunities to develop the sector, as well as a platform for creators within Grenada, the region, and internationally to come and showcase their films in preserving culture and the whole heritage part of it. And without opportunities like this, I have no idea how we as an organization would be able to deliver things like that. So, in a situation like this, Sabrina, my question to you is from an investment perspective and what you guys do at GIDC, how can I had a question for you. Let me see. Yes, how can we make the arts attractive to foreign direct investors? Is the possibility of the arts as a CSR becoming a tax break to them to develop the industry in Grenada and the wider region? Is that something that you guys are working through right now?
Okay, thank you, Meschida. Before I answer your question, if it's okay, I mean, you and I had a discussion previously about grant funding.
Mm-hmm.
IDC as a single entity does not provide funding opportunities. However, through our Business Development Center, they normally collaborate with donor agencies and they serve as the implementing body to grant funding opportunities for small and medium enterprises. And as you mentioned, opportunities for the single artists, I just wanted to zero in a little bit on a project that the BDC is now currently implementing. They are the the Enterprise Business Development component for the Climate Smart Agriculture and Rural Enterprise Program. So our BDC unit at GIDC is currently implementing this program where they provide entrepreneurial skills training for youths between the ages of 16 to 35, and also grant funding would be provided for them to start their businesses. So unfortunately, I know there is an age factor that can sometimes be a hindrance, but once individual or even a group is within the age limit, my advice would be for them to contact us at GIDC. In case you're listening, the number is 444-1033, and you can just ask to speak with the EBD department, and one of the business development officers will walk you through the process. There's an application process, there's an interview process, and then you must undergo the training as well before you can access the grant funding. So it's just something to also consider from the individual perspective.
Does
Go ahead.
is this only for Grenadians in Grenada, or if you are a creative, a Grenadian creative that is within the diaspora, can you tap into that opportunity with GIDC as well, Sabrina?
100% I can't say. From what I know from previous projects, it would have been persons within Grenada, because one of the things is you must access the training. You must access the training in order for you to access the grant funding. So I can probably try to inquire more. How would it be able to be extended to the diaspora? And then I can always feed you with that information once I get it.
Okay.
Right. So back to your question.
Yes, please.
Back to your question on making the arts attractive for FDI. I think one of the things that we would have to do, and I am happy that we're having this session, I think discussion is key for us to further understand the sector and for us to understand the needs of the sector. So I think one of the first things we would have to do, I'm hoping that from this session, it would have created an opportunity for the doors to be open for us to have further dialogue with people like Sam and the other creatives in the sector to determine what is their needs, because that will help us to shape packaging the sector and making it attractive for investors. Whenever an investor is making a decision to move to another country, it's not just the sector that they're looking at, but they're looking at the country as a whole. The people, what does that particular country have to offer? The infrastructure, the life there, the quality of life. Is it a safe place? What activities can they become involved in when they come to that country? The nightlife, adventure, all of these things. They consider all these things as well, and it's not just, the sector. So I think one of the things that we can probably start leveraging from is Grenada as a whole. We have good quality of life, we're relatively safe, and we do have things that we can offer to investors outside of just whatever it is they come in to do for the sector. I think we would have to develop the infrastructure some more in terms of the creative arts. So like I said, again, hoping that we can have further discussions with the creative industry to determine what are the things that they need. One of the things that we do at GIDC is we advocate for changes in policy. So as it stands now with CSR being, getting a tax break for CSR for the arts industry, that is not something that we have legislated. But from that sit down, that discussion that I'm hoping that we can have as a takeaway from this session, if it is something that is needed to attract investors, and this is something that we are willing to lobby for, to present a position to the government to say, these are the things that the artists need to take this sector forward, to move this sector forward, and we can present a position to the government to have these things considered.
I mean, it is very vital because I'm not trying to speak so much, but I have to because that's my field and that's what I am doing. But for products and programs like what we are offering with the 1261 Film Festival, it is a festival that is based in Grenada, but we have a strong international reach and a strong international presence. So with film festivals, there is a huge attraction for investments, for international stakeholders, as well as local and regional people to come in there. But as you pointed out, with the infrastructure being as is, when people come into Grenada, there are certain lack of incentives that is given, and we have to figure out a way to strengthen that institution to make it more viable. Um, we're seeing now that it is an opportunity to import and also export a lot more talent. So it will be nice for us to probably have another forum where we're sitting down to really um, brainstorm ways that we all can capitalize on improving the system and making it really more attractive. Because there you have other neighboring countries that has a stronger creative sector as far as the film industry is concerned. And there is a lot of money that is left on the table there. Grenada has a lot to offer. As you pointed out, it's just not about the sun and the sand and the beaches. You have the culture, you have the untold stories, you have things that is so unique to Grenada. Sam is a creative in Grenada right now, producing awesome work. So you have these talents that is not really maximized. And how do we, as a body, allow these creatives to get the necessary funding so they can be expressive in that sense?
Yeah, and I
Sam,
definitely agree. I mean, what we have legislated now would be things like duties, exemption on duties for like building materials. So let's say, for example, Sam decides that he wants to build a studio, then he can get exemptions on duties for bringing in the equipment that he would need. He might need to bring in some proofing panels or something like that. He would get concessions on things like that, on the
mhm.
cameras and different things that he would need to bring in. He can also be eligible for VAT exemptions or also even get tax credit for training individuals. Let's say he has to train persons in using the camera and things like that. He can be eligible for getting tax credits on these trainings. But I think, again, these are things that we have currently legislated, but I think having that sit down with the sector, because there may be more that might be needed. So if we have that sit down with the sector, and then we are able to determine that while we have these three things, they need two more or they need five more, so that we can present that position to the government that we need to add these things to the list of incentives that the creative industry is getting, so that we can further encourage investment.
Because and you know we're hitting on some really vital points here, right? And that's what's the beautiful thing about this roundtable right here, because it's about accessibility of information. And Sam is shaking his head right now, and Sam, you can chime in right now and let me know what, in your experience, Sam, how do you access the information to know that these things are available to you to develop your business within Grenada.
Right. So I have had a problem with the word sponsorship for a long time, and that deals with all forms of sponsorship that is approaching businesses, seeking funding. For me, the business itself takes a lot of mental capacity to try and approach. So on top of finding funding for things that I didn't already have funding for, like having my own equipment and so, um, I I barely I think I barely meet the criteria of being considered an entrepreneur from a business standpoint. The creative thing I can handle, but the business side of things and where to start, I'm realizing that GIDC is a good place to start, and certain grants and such have crossed my desk from people who know that I'm in it and know that I would probably be interested in something along those lines. But I mentioned sponsorship because most times, in my experience, not necessarily heading up a project, but participating in a project, say with theater and so, a lot of times things have been held up because of the wait for sponsorship. It's very touch and go, and then things come together at the last minute. I don't know if it's like that in every other island or in the bigger, wider world or so, but it can be a bit disheartening because you never know if you're going to get the funding necessary to accomplish that thing that you want to do. So for the most part, you have to try with the job that you get. You have to self-fund and press through with the hopes that something that you've searched for and tried to apply it for comes through for you in the end. That's my experience. I'm sure there are some other creatives here in Grenada who have been able to find some way of doing it. I know my friend Herman Hood, who had 𝑰𝒏 Studio, and now he's doing Ambient Grenada. He got a grant from CARSIP that this was all pushed around pretty well, but it was more focused on ICT, on that sector. There's nothing really in place for training people in creative industries down here. We don't have a media school, so to speak. I know there were some programs that were being introduced in TAMCC in recent times, and there was always an AV unit there, but from what I remember and from what I understand, there aren't active training things. And this was always a big thing for me. I wanted to know that I'm doing it right. I'm speaking, I'm communicating in the jargon that, let's be honest, that Hollywood would operate on. One of my personal goals before I die, knock on wood, is to produce a Hollywood level film built from the ground up down here in Grenada. And again, it's a big task. First things first, have a script, blah blah blah.
It's
Certain
not a
things
big
I can
task. It's not a big task when you have individuals like myself who are the
do.
experts, right?
Which side are you on? This side, okay.
You know,
Uh,
because that's what we are offering, right? We are hoping to help develop through our workshop programs and everything else that we
Right.
are implementing in Grenada.
and I do have to commend you on that because this was something, your workshops that you had for the 1261 Film Festival last year was something that I really was excited about because finally there someone who has been in the business and who knows about it and knows people in there that can facilitate that kind of knowledge sharing was great, and the workshops were great. So I'm hoping that it won't stop with you, that others will catch the buck that you have set, and more people will come in, and you will of course continue. And
Oh, we are continuing. We are rolling out a workshop starting in the summertime because similar to you, we're hoping that we can have a built-in module that takes you from development all the way to production. My goal and our goal as a collective for the team is to be able to have export-ready products that is created in Grenada, is developed and created in Grenada, and then we can help push it out on the international market, both regionally and further, So for the workshops that we are rolling out come from the summertime, we're going to be making a release soon, is going to be from script writing, development, then you have production, and then walk you through the post period. So we are trying to get a couple individuals ready. So by the time the 1261 2021 comes around, we are having really good high-end quality short films that is produced in Grenada and now can be marketable outside of here. So we start small. We cannot go from no experience to feature-length film, right? We have to take it into strides. And those are some of the things that we're working in delivering in Grenada in the next coming months. So thank you for that. We are working really hard. Our team is working really hard on trying to figure out the best strategies we can help to develop the industry home. With that, Kisha, I have a question for you, because that just leads from what we were talking about with programs. Educational programs to enhance the sector. And as you're aware, well, kind of you're aware of what we are working on. So my company and my team, we are putting together a film an art module to present to the local Ministry of Education that can be implemented within the secondary schools to, again, bring back art as something that kids can start utilizing as another opportunity. And hopefully they can sit for the Common Entrance Board with this. We can get it to that point. How can we as an organization or a company integrate this with UNESCO programs with the aim to help develop the underprivileged kids who don't have access to tools and education that other kids may have? So we're looking at more like the rural areas of starting with that to give younger kids an access to other opportunities. So how can we integrate that with UNESCO?
Well, Meschida, thank you. Well, as you know, UNESCO, I mean, we always happy, and the National Commission here, of course, we always happy to partner with organizations that promote poverty reduction, capacity building, and education. And as mentioned, I mean, we do have several grants available that you can like partner with, well, like I guess partner with us.
Mm-hmm.
You can, I mean, as I said, anybody really can contact the National Commission to discuss the various areas of possible support in this area. You can contact us and you can visit the website. You can visit the Ministry of Education. I mean, I guess the platform here is not really appropriate to go into a lot of details, but just to say that, I mean, we are here, we are open. Um, we do, I mean, our main goal is poverty reduction, gender equality. So definitely you can contact us. We'll discuss it. Um, we'll discuss it and then we'll move from there. So yes.
Okay. No, because every day my head is constantly twirling as far as how can we enhance the products and the services that we are offering in Grenada, and I'm constantly knocking on your door and saying, "What do you think about this, Kisha? What do you think about this?" So I mean, I'm not encouraging everyone to keep knocking on your door because then I'll be jealous because you won't have time for me. But I cannot be selfish enough. Sam is watching me. Sam is watching me hard. Sam, no, you're not going to be contacting Kisha. She's mine. But Sam, from your experience, and I know you're fortunate enough. Thank you so much, Kisha. I know you're fortunate enough, Sam, to get some work. Like you've done a beautiful piece with GIDC on helping to envision how the creative process works. Can you explain to me a little bit more about your role and how you are fortunate enough to land? We talked about it a few minutes ago, very loosely, but how do you go about winning the bids in securing consistent work in sustaining your lifestyle?
Honestly, I've been blessed. I've pretty much operated on word of mouth alone, and it's kind of the way I want to keep it. Since I'm mostly a one-man production suite, having too many jobs at a time can slow me down creatively trying to find these things. But with GIDC, they approached me. I had assisted with them with some drone footage from before, and Grenada is a small island. People know people, and but they also know that I do good work. Thankfully, I put myself out there a bit. I have my YouTube channel with a couple portfolio playlists that people can see if they're interested. I haven't updated the YouTube the Facebook page too much, but the Instagram is somewhat active. I did post something in these recent COVID months, but no, in general it's been word of mouth and just the strength of the work that I've been able to produce. And I do think I take a pretty collaborative stance on projects. I hope people can agree that I'm kind of easy to work with. But I don't want to tempt fate and have somebody pop up and say, no, that boy. Uh, but at the same time, it's yeah, it's been word of mouth, and I guess the strength of what I do. I suppose it doesn't hurt that being on stage, having that kind of public presence has helped. Um, it's a face that can be recognizable. Some people have been able to recognize my voice from some voiceovers that I've done as well. Um, but yeah, it's building a. I'd have to say it's building a reputable persona with the public, that and having that filter into business deals. I think
Okay.
then they trust that I know what can happen in front of a camera, and so hopefully I will know what will happen behind the camera.
I want to take a moment to quickly showcase something that you've worked on with GIDC, and then I'll come back to Sabrina to talk about it, because it's something that you worked on for GIDC in Grenada. So let me see if I can go ahead and share this with everyone out there.
Sure.
Mm.
So this
Wait,
was the pre-production stage. This was I was the process of like the creative ideas that came about for the final product that I'm sure you're going to show later on. That included site visits and some drawing. That's where the artistry comes in a little bit. That's what
mm-hmm.
my college degree came into. And I thought it would be interesting to show what something can start from and then what it turns into. Sometimes if you have a strong enough vision for a project, then it can turn into something bigger and much nicer.
So, of course, like with everything else, with the technical difficulties, right? This is the wrong screen that I'm sharing, right? So everyone out there, I apologize. I hope you're not seeing my busy background with I had everything queued up. So now I have multiple screens and I can't find my right screen. So this is just one of the flaws of being technical, right?
Murphy's Law.
Let's see where we are. You see, let me stop sharing my screen first. Oh, this is too funny and so embarrassing. But this is real time stuff. So now you know that just like with us, when you see all the beautiful things out there, there's a lot of problems that happened in the back end. Sabrina, can you just talk a little bit more about working with Sam, and what are some of the things that, from GIDC perspective, when looking for new talents to work with, what are some of the things that you guys are looking for in the creatives?
Be gentle, Sabrina.
Yes, Sam, I'll be gentle. Truthfully, Sam is very easy to work with. I've known Sam before, prior to working at GIDC. I've actually known Sam from secondary school. That particular ad that you were going to show, Sam would have produced that ad for our business development center. After producing the ad and seeing the ad, we got a lot of great reviews. A lot of people liked the ad. And so the unit where I work, which is investment promotion agency, we also approached Sam to make an investment video for us. The video is not 100% complete, but Sam is working on it. And we gave a sneak preview to some of our colleagues outside of Grenada, because the video is intended to be circulated outside of Grenada. And so we just gave them a preview just for them to have a look at it and give us feedback on their thoughts. And a lot of people were impressed. Actually, we had two persons asking us for Sam's details because they were really impressed with the content and the quality of the footage that they saw. So, I mean, working with Sam is easy. Even when I get, flustered sometimes, like I have to tell Sam to change this or change that, and I'm going back to tell him to make the change. Sam is always very calm and cool. He's not flustered. He doesn't get upset. He's not frustrated. He works with you. He makes suggestions on, what we can do to make sure that we produce something that's good. So it's pretty easy to work with Sam. From what I have seen in my year and a half working at GIBC, what we normally do is whenever we have a project, there is sort of like a bidding process where we would send out our brief of what we would like to do. We would send it out to different producers, and then we would ask them to submit a quote on doing the production for us, and then we usually just pick somebody. A lot of the times, though, what I've noticed is that some of the persons that we're working with is people that we worked with previously because we're satisfied with the job that they would have done for us. So in the case with Sam, he did things for GIDC in the past, and we were always satisfied with his work ethic, so we continue to use Sam. And then in some instances, we will get referrals. So we would see, let's say, for example, GTA, they would produce something that looks really good, and we will contact them and ask them, who produced this particular product for you? And then we would follow up by contacting the person. Another person that we work really well with is Sonics, who normally produces pretty good work as well, quality work. And so we've worked with him in the past, and because he's also very positive, we would continue to work with him. But generally, we look for persons that they know what they're doing, they are familiar with the industry, they know how to shoot, how to produce, and they can guide us. Sometimes you have an idea in your mind and you're not sure how it would look in reality. So we're looking for that creative to really guide us, to take our thoughts and turn it into that final product. So of course we're looking for somebody that knows how to do that knows what they're doing. And so far we've been able to find that. One of the things that I think might be lacking is in the case that we don't know who everybody is. So you just tend to stay in that closed circle. Because
I was just about to ask you that, because
even though I knew Sam, I knew Sam as an actor. I knew Sam taking the photos, but I did not know that Sam was producing footage, like the commercials. I didn't know that he was doing that until he worked with the other department at GIDC, the Business Development Center. And then when I saw the product, I was like, oh, but I didn't know Sam did this. So when we had to produce a video, I contacted Sam because I was impressed with what he did. But the struggle is really not knowing what else is out there and who else is out there. So you tend to stay within that closed circle. So like, for example, one of the things that we would like to do is an animation video. But truthfully, to tell you off the top of my head, like who I'm going to go to do it, I don't know. I will start by asking Sam if he knows who does animation. But that is where it would be. There isn't there isn't a directory or a list, of maybe that's something that can be considered. We started to build out a directory, and right.
One of the hardest things that you're finding as far as our creative sector of creative community home is the creatives themselves are very apprehensive in putting themselves out there. So my question to you is, I don't know why they feel that they don't need to share that information.
They should.
But, Sam knows very well. But for me, my question to you is, before we wrap up very quickly, I want to wrap it up, does the selection only, and you mentioned that it's a recycling thing because you're going with the people that you know and you trust to do that. But is it that Grenadians living in Grenada is getting the priority, or if there is qualified Grenadians within the diaspora who would like to come back home also and contribute their talents, are they also up for the running in producing the work? Because
sure. I'm not sure if you know him. His name is Andy Green, I think it is. He's a local person, but he lives in the US. I'm not sure exactly which part of the US, but we have approached him to produce an ad for us for the airport. So for me, it's a matter of once we know the person and you can give us a sample maybe of something that you would have done, and we're satisfied and we're impressed with how it looks. We have no problem in working with you because we would have worked with persons outside of Grenada as well. Okay. But the main thing would be knowing who who the people are and what they can do. So that's what I was saying. If we have that directory, we know, okay, Sam is for video production, and we have, let's say, Sonics, for example, for photo production, and we have somebody else for animation. So we know where to go, we know what to look for. That kind of helps to make it easier, but we're not closed off at all with just working with just who's here in Grenada. We're also open to working with persons overseas, persons in the diaspora.
Okay. I mean, the time is running by so quickly, and I mean, there are so many things to segment, and it's like each company or each individual need the full hour to really dive into opportunities and challenges that is there within Grenada. So we're just kind of brushing over some of the things right now to give an introduction to it. I want to just say, before we wrap up and everything like that, Sam, before you leave, is there any parting words, anything that you would like to see as far as us setting the tone to start getting more discussions around opportunities and challenges within Grenada to be able to have resources available to the creatives there?
I think the most important thing is something that was mentioned before, being able to a central place to find support information like this, right? So I know I think UNESCO's opportunities have come across. Again, it's because somebody I knew pushed it towards me or so. Maybe it's up to me or some other creative down here who is invested and interested in that to create that platform to get all these informations collated and available to us and, of course, put forth. But I think that would be a pretty good start to know what opportunities are available, and perhaps upon evaluation of the opportunities, if there are a lot of them or not very many of them, then we can start to seek to create those opportunities somehow with networking. And I know I'm terrible at networking. Meschida, don't kill me. But yeah, we have to create a baseline to find out where Grenada stands with these opportunities. And Sabrina's information was very helpful. Kisha's information was very helpful. I would like to see them in writing somewhere concrete that is not so ephemeral, because we're hearing it now and it might in one ear out the other. But if there's a standard location or some place, whether it be online, on a social media platform or something like that, that people can go to consult for that information, I think that would be a pretty strong start and get the races going. What else is there?
Yeah, thank you for that, Sam. Sabrina, as far as GIDC is concerned, is there any parting words that you would advise creatives who are interested in finding funding, utilizing the services that is provided by GIDC? Because a lot of people prior to this, I'm pretty sure, is unsure or were unaware that all these opportunities is available to them home to help elevate not just themselves but their craft and their businesses. Is there any parting words that you would like to say right now to the creatives?
Okay.
And investors. And investors listening out there, because that's the biggest thing right now. I know I have a lot of investor friends listening right now to hear about opportunities within the sector.
I would like to say thank you very much for the opportunity to be a part of this session. It was very interesting. What I would like to see, like I mentioned earlier, is for us to have, for it not to just stop here, but for us to have further dialogue. As I mentioned before, the incentives that we have for the sector was legislated a few years ago. It could be that the dynamics of the creative industry would have changed and more things is needed at the moment. So I think we do need to have another sit down where we can identify some of the challenges, some of the things that the creative sector needs, and to see how we can maybe adopt the policies, change the policies that we have to make sure that it's fitting what it is that the artists need in order for them to thrive, in order for them to either start and expand their businesses. It should be fashioned in such a way that's beneficial to them. So I would like to see us have another sit down. In terms of information, most of what I said in terms of what defines the creative industry and the incentives that they can receive you should be able to find it on our website. You should be able to find it on our website. There is an incentive guide, so you can look for that document, and it would list all the sectors and all the things that each sector qualifies for and all the definitions, what defines each of the sectors, so you would know whether or not you meet the criteria. So you should be able to find that on our website, which is grenadaidc.com. In terms of opportunities, in speaking before coming to the program, I mean, we would have done some research in trying to determine what are some of the opportunities available for investment in the creative sector. And we did have a few things that the Ministry of Culture shared with us. So I would just briefly say what it is. There were 4 broad categories. One was architecture and exhibition, and there's opportunities for investments in the National Museum as well as the Seaman Cultural Center. Under the category of music, performing, and visual arts, there is opportunity for investment in a production center that has a specific focus on sound engineers. There's also an opportunity for investment in collaboration with the SpiceMass Corporation, and this one is twofold. One is to develop a program that is geared towards youth between the ages of 10 to 16, and the other is geared towards competition prizes and how they can improve on that aspect, and as well as getting foreign artists to come to Grenada and participate and compete in Carnival. Then we had the third category, which was galleries and libraries. And under this category, it was investments towards the Grenada National Library. And the fourth category was fashion, craft, design, and textile. And there's investment opportunities towards a textile manufacturing plant in Grenada. So these are just some of the opportunities that we were able to identify in preparation for the event today. I think pretty much GIDC is sort of like a one-stop shop for persons interested in starting their own business and investing in Grenada. So I would encourage young persons, anybody in general, investor, business person who's interested in finding out more about our services, because we offer business development services that ranges from trainings, grant proposal writing. So while, like I mentioned, we don't specifically provide funding opportunities, our business development center is familiar with a lot of donor agencies that provides funding. So they would assist you in writing proposals for you to be able to access the funding, and they would know of donor agencies and they can make referrals for you. So it's in your interest to visit us. But we are frequently Industrial Park. Our number is 444-1033. We're open. Our office is open now from 9 to 4 because we had adjusted hours due to COVID-19. But you can feel free to visit. You can feel free to call. And our website, again, is there for you to at least find out initial information before making the visit. And you can speak with anybody in the Business Development Center. And if you're looking for investment, if you're trying to find out more about incentives, application process, all of that, you can speak with anybody in the Investment Promotion Agency. So thank you.
You're very welcome, and I do welcome, and I am taking you up on the fact that for us to sit down and explore further opportunities in strengthening the sector here, because it's very vital for what we are doing in this business. Kisha, before we leave, any parting words as far as individuals looking to get to more information and just positioning themselves really and truly to be ready to be qualified and be competitive for these grants that is available to them, especially from small island countries like us, right? We are behind. So how do we put ourselves in a competitive space to be qualified for these grants?
Yes. Well, thank you, Meschida. And thank you for the invitation to be part of the panel here today. It was indeed a great pleasure. There are a lot of opportunities out there for cultural practitioners. As a first step, one thing I would recommend is that you register an NGO. And it really creates a good opportunity for collaboration among industry personnel. So I would always say, I mean, most grant agencies, regardless of UNESCO, OECS, you would have to, I mean, there's no individual application. So an NGO is really the first step. The doors to the National Commission they are always open. So come in, you can call us. We are at the Ministry of Education. You can email us and we can discuss and we can guide you through the process of applying for grants. And sometimes, I mean, we are also able to assist you with applying for other grants as well. Because being part of, I mean, I guess the organization, it's you always sort of know what is out there and how, you can access other grant funding. So come in, we're here, and yeah, we'll be here to welcome you and give you all the information that is necessary to apply and to be successful at accessing the grants available. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. No, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for taking the opportunity to just come and impart some wealth and impart knowledge, and for us to start the discussion. You see, for me, I believe that is important for us to start having conversations around this, because we all have a part in playing in making this industry much stronger. We have, my group, we're doing just a small bit in contributing. We are independent organization that is partnering tremendously with not just local representatives and creatives like Sam, like Pink Real, and other, entities in Grenada, but we also have regional relationships and international relationships. And through our platform, 1261 Film Festival, that is exactly what we're trying to do. Put a lot of our projects and our creatives products in the forefront of promoting not just the creative themselves, but Grenada on a whole. So we are doing a lot. It may seem, because a lot of people are not aware of what we are doing, but I would like to say that we are the first film festival that is really taking a cohesive look into the industry and trying to address it from every single facet, not just from the exhibition, but also from the educational standpoint. And if you need any more information, this is our website here that you can check us out. We are launching our virtual festival is coming in the fall. So we're doing a hybrid festival that we are unfolding right now. And if any creative that is out there that is looking for collaboration spaces to learn more about funding, to learn more about how you go about developing the arts, reach out to us and we'll be happy to help. So again, thank you so much to all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day again. And Kisha, I will be calling you. Sabrina, thank you so much. And Sam, I am coming to work with you, and I'm holding you to your own words, whereby I'm going to be calling you to assist with mentorship with our program. Because I mean, collectively we all need to put together and help build the industry home. So again, thank you so much, and have a wonderful weekend or the rest of the day. And I'll talk soon. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Take care, guys. Nice
All right, bye. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay.